So, welcome everyone. We're going to get started now. And today we're talking about leadership and the laws of leadership according to John Maxwell. And as others keep joining, we're going to continue. But let's start today. Many of us actually might know me, or you might already know me, those who are in the room. However, I am Coach Anti Prasad, and something about myself that maybe you haven't known is my passion. What is it that I like to do and my why in life? And today, as you're going to learn a lot about yourself and your leadership skills, you might be assessing where you are and where do you need to go, and the work that you need to put in to get there. But why do you do it? Why do you want to push yourself to do whatever it is that you said you want to do? And for myself is that my why is that I want to be able to help as much people as possible before I die, to be able to help them to grow and for them to live a life of significance so that they also can continue to add value to others who will follow, when we are gone. And I would also, one of my passion is business too, and to see business grow and business keep developing and become a wealth creator for our country too. So what is your why? And even one of the leadership laws of leadership, the last law talks about your legacy. And we're going to go more in depth when we reach to that point. But ask yourself, do I know why I'm existing? Do I know why I'm having this business? Do I know why I'm in this role or in this particular job that I'm doing? Why am I doing it? Because if your why is not strong enough, I can tell you it becomes a drag for you to wake up and go and do the things that you're supposed to be doing. Okay, so learn of your why and start living it. Today, this point is the point of being present, the point in your life right now where you're at. And you either living below this point or you're living above this point. And when we say living below, it's a behavioral attitude or what do you do on a daily basis? Are you living where you're blaming people for maybe where you're at in your life? Do you blame your parents? Or they did not give me the education that I needed, or I didn't had all these opportunities? Do you blame, oh, I don't have enough money, or I wasn't brought up in a rich home, whatever it is? Do you keep blaming things, circumstances in your life, or do you make excuses as to why you're where you're at, why you're not growing? Oh, I don't have enough time to invest in myself. I can tell you is that each and every one of us have 24 hours. I can't give you 2 hours of my time, or neither can you give me 2 hours of your time. It's 24 hours, and we all get to learn how to manage ourselves in that 24 hours. So there's no excuses as to, oh, somebody else have more time than me. You got to see where your time is getting eat up and wasted. And then even if we're not making excuses, we could also be in denial. And what denial stands for is that didn't even notice I am lying. And who are you lying to? You're lying to yourself. Okay? And you might deny that you have eating disorder. You might deny that you have a leadership deficit. You might deny that there are some areas in your life that needs changing, and maybe people are telling you those blind spots that you can't see, and what you just deny that there is a problem, so you would not change because you don't see a problem. What we teach you is that how do you live above this point by taking ownership, accountability, and being responsible. Now, When you think of ownership, break it up, is that how do you take your oar, which is a paddle, and paddle in the direction you want to go? How do you paddle your ship, per se? Okay, and accountable. If you look at the center there, the word count, what are you accountable for? You're accountable for the decisions you made. You're accountable for your time. What do you do with it every day? Or how old you are right now? You're accountable for all those years. What did you do? And then you're responsible also for your team. You're responsible for your company that you're working with. You're responsible for the decision that you will make tomorrow. How would you respond to these things that are coming? So are you learning? Are you keep growing? And if you are actually making excuses, what happens is that you keep draining yourself. And people who live below the point of power here are people who usually say things like, why did this have to happen to me? The people who live above the point are more powerful because they say this is happening for me, and therefore I get to learn something. I get to test something new, or I get to innovate something, whatever. They don't see challenges, but they see opportunities, and they get to learn from them. So where are you at right now? Are you living above or below the point of power? Those who are above is powerful and they are successful. They are the victors. The people who live below the point are have a victim mentality that the world owe them everything, and that's how they continue to live, and they make excuses. So don't wonder why, maybe if it is you living below, why you are where you're at. Okay, so but today you get a choice to make. You get to choose from today on, I will live above this point. I will take my oar and paddle in the direction I want to go. Now, many of us, when we were teenagers, we were so accustomed to these two words. And everything, if you have any experience right now with teenagers and you ask them anything, they always know everything. Anything you ask them, if they make a mistake or you try to correct them, anything, every time you try to say something, oh, I know. And guess what? There are adults even right now who keep saying stuff like that. I know, and then you wondering, if you know all these things, how is it that you still went and do what you did? Right? And so instead of you also having an I know attitude, we say, replace it, isn't that interesting? So instead of coming into this session, instead of going into a conversation with someone where you think that you know everything, and I can guarantee you, you don't know everything. You don't even know right now what you don't know. And so instead, say, isn't that interesting? Please tell me more. Do not say it in a sarcastic way. Say it meaningfully. I want to learn what you're talking about. And either the person going to teach you something or you get to teach them something. So it's a win-win. Either they don't know what they're talking about and you will get to teach them, or you get to learn from them. So get rid of your I know attitude and start say, isn't that interesting? In life, make everything fun. If you're on your job and you're not having fun, it can become draining. And if it's not fun, think about yourself. What are some activities in your life that you do that you have so much fun? If you can picture one time that you were having so much fun, maybe in the past couple of months or last year, I don't know when last you really had some fun, what did it feel like? How can you bring that energy into your workplace so that you make the work fun for yourself and for your team? So everyone is motivated and inspired to come to work because they love what they're doing. So think about, how do you make your work fun? John Maxwell, in his laws of leadership, says that we should follow them and people will follow you. 2 years back, I had the opportunity of meeting Mr. John Maxwell and in a conference, and it was also a life-changing experience for myself. as I found my purpose during that conference too, of where I want to be focused in my life. And so, again, what is your focus? What John Maxwell says is that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, when real leaders speak, people listen. So when you think of leadership and you say, I am not a leader, I am not in no position that people are under me or whatever you might be thinking, guess what? According to this definition, on a daily basis, whatever you do, whether it's the people in your home, your neighbors, or your friends, who you speak to on a daily basis, you're pretty much influencing them, because something you will say will influence them. So you are a leader. You don't need to be a born leader, or you hear things like that people, oh, that person is a born. There's no such thing. Leadership is a skill that is developed, and you have to learn where your leadership deficits are and then start filling it. So what are the influences? Is it a positive influence also you're having on people, or is it a negative influence? We had many leaders who went before us, and you also saw what negative leadership looks like and what happened to the followers. And we have also positive leaders who went before us and also did remarkable things. And you will also have certain leaders that you really admire. And why do you admire them? Because similar qualities in them is also what you portray or you would like to portray. So think of maybe the top two leaders right now that influences you. Who are those people? What are their qualities that you admire about them? Write those things down, and you will also see, what is the reflection of you also on others. Now, when you think also, who is the toughest person to lead? The only leaders who have followed well know how to lead others well. And when you think about yourself, how hard it is to get you to be disciplined, right? So start with yourself. If you want to be a great leader, you have to be able to control your emotions. You have to be able to, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. What are the values that you live by? And how tough are you on yourself when you actually maybe don't live up to those values? Do you give yourself excuses and say that it's okay that for me to do these things, but it's not okay for others to do it? So start with yourself, introspect, look at the things then that you might be seeing that can be improved, and start improving those areas so that when you set out to lead, then people will want to follow. Now, when you think of leadership, majority of leadership is about relationships. And when you think relationships, according to this, is 85% people knowledge. So if you want to be successful in your leadership, it says in studies of leadership has been proven that the average executive spend 3/4 of his working day dealing with people. So most people can trace their success and failures to the relationships in their lives. So are you developing relationship? What are you doing presently to increase your influence around the people, maybe your team, your family, in your church, or anywhere that maybe an organization you're in? What are the influences that our relationship you're building to actually learn of these people, and so that you can get along better with them? So again, what John Maxwell says is that everything rises and falls on leadership. You may not want to accept that, but whatever is happening in your team, and again, it can be extended to your personal life or your work life, your team, whatever happens there is on you. Okay, How are you leading your team? So if you are poor in what you're doing, then your team is a reflection of who you are. Now, the 21 laws of leadership, he says, to learn them. They can be a standalone that you learn in individual ones. It carry consequences, and they are the foundation of leadership. Again, learn them, live them each and every day. So let's get into what these leadership, the laws looks like. So the law number 1 talks about the law of the lid. Okay, so if you're not familiar with this, is that leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. So the lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lid on his potential. The higher the individual's ability to lead, the higher the lid on his potential. To give you an example, think about if your leadership rates at an 8, then your effectiveness can never be greater than a 7. So your leadership ability for better or worse always determine your effectiveness and the potential impact of your organization. So are you cap out? Where are you at right now? If a person's leadership is strong, the organization lid is high. But if it is not, then the organization is limited. That is why in times of trouble, you have organization naturally look for new leadership. If you look and in studies, you will see that if a company is not performing, the first person that gets fired actually is the CEO. And ask yourself, are you at your leadership lid? How can you break through and actually continue to grow? And John Maxwell talk about also the 15 invaluable laws of growth. Have you read that book? And also study and do the exercises in these books then, and learn how can you keep raising your leadership lid. The second law talks about the law of influence. And it says the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. When a real leader speaks, people listen. Okay, remember, if you think you are leading and no one is following, you are just having a walk. So who's following you? How many people are you influencing? So these are 7 factors to think about of leadership. Character. People can sense truth and integrity. Think about relationships. Are you surrounding yourself with the right people? Knowledge. Are you studying, learning? Do you know the facts? Do you do your homework? Intuition, energy, morale, timing, momentum. And these are some of the laws also we will talk about. What do you feel? Experience. What challenges have you had in the past? What have you learned from these experiences that you had before? If you have not learned from your mistakes or any challenge you had, it will continue to be a challenge as you go by in your life. What are the past success? What is your track record? Have you extended yourself, taken a risk and succeed? Your ability. What are you capable of? Can you be great at what you are doing? Remember that people would not go along with you if you can't get along with people. Okay, so how are you influencing people? Look on your daily calendar every day and see, are you scheduling time to be even with your team? The next law talks about the law of the process. Leaders develop daily, not in a day. If you think there's a magic pill or something that you can take that, okay, I'm going to become a great leader overnight. I can guarantee you there's no such thing. We overestimate the event and underestimate the process. The secret to our success is discovered in our daily agenda. What does your calendar looks like on a daily basis? So becoming a leader is a lot like investing successfully in your stock market. If your hope is to make a fortune, in one day, you're not going to be successful. There are no successful day traders. Okay. In leadership, think about what matters most is what you do day by day over a long haul. Okay. What are the habits that you will develop daily and consistently doing those things so that you know what will help you to grow? So think about what is your plan for personal growth. Do you have a growth plan? Okay, many of us with our clients, we plan out for every quarter, we plan for the year, we plan out in 5 years, where do you see yourself? And then work yourself backward. What when you hear the begin with the end in mind, think about what does it look like here a couple years down, and what do you need to start doing now to make sure that happens? So what are you doing to promote your professional growth? What are you doing on a daily basis? Remember, growth doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen with some magic wand or a magic spell or something along that line. So the fourth law, talks about the law of navigation. Anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. Where are you going right now? How are you getting there? Do you have a compass? So think about your goals. The goals are the compass for your brains. Do you have a vision? Do you have a personal vision statement for your life? And does your company have a vision for where they're going, where you're taking this business? Does your department have a vision? How does it all tie in back into the grand vision of this company? And for you, how many of you actually wrote down your vision statement and your mission of how you plan to get there? What are those goals that you want to hit, those milestones, maybe every quarter or every year? By where, so that you know within 5 years, 10 years, that the plan that you have in place is definitely going to be realized. Okay? And how do you plan ahead? So think about plan, predetermine a course of action. Okay? Do you have a course of action? Have you laid out goals? What are your goals? How do you adjust your priorities? Some might not be in line. How are you planning to, are you able to adjust those priorities so that the key things, the most important things, the things that will take you closer to your goals are getting done? Do you notify key personnels? Okay, so who are the key people in your life that is needed, maybe to help you or also to hold you accountable? Do you allow time for acceptance? Do you, head into action? Or are you procrastinating stuff? Do you expect problem? If so, what do you have in place to cushion those things? Do you always point to successes? Okay, so think about, are you a person who thinks only of failure? Are you heading in a direction because of your plan that you are confident that it will succeed? Are you doing what is necessary for it to succeed? Daily review your plan. At the end of every day, do you ask yourself, did I do everything that I could have done with whatever resources you had that day? So that when you reach to the end of your life, you don't end up saying things that, I wish I had done this. Now, the law of addition talks about leaders add value by serving others. And I believe in servant leadership. So the bottom line in leadership isn't how far we advance ourselves, but how far we advance others. So how many people are you serving? Or, some leaders believe that they're there to be served. So my leadership, my understanding of servant leadership is where you actually give up. And I like to use the example of Jesus and when he was on this earth as a leader, how he actually went on his knees and washed his disciples' feet. How did he serve them? I'm not saying that you need to go wash someone's feet, but would you have a problem doing something like that? Right? So how are you serving your team? Is there a bunch of, or should I say, ego? Are there so much pride in you that you feel that people should serve you instead? So are you adding to your people? Are you adding and show what it means to serve your team? This law number 6 talks about the law of solid ground. Do your colleagues trust you? So when you think of trusting, how do you know that they trust you? Do people openly share things with you? Do they open up to you? Do they speak things? Do you open up to your people? How do you build that foundation of trust so that people can come to you? So character makes trust possible, and trust makes leadership possible. And that's what the law of solid ground is about, is that charisma gets you through the door where character keeps you inside the door. And Jay Miller said this: the only thing that walks back from the tomb with the mourners and refuses to be buried is the character of a man. This is true. What a man is survives him. It can never be buried. So, as you think, do people trust you? What is that character that you have that you are living right now? What do people see in you? The law number 7 talks about respect. Talent alone won't work. Okay, it is the first step is to attract people, but fails if you do not have respect for others. So respect has to be earned. I believe that if you want respect, you must be able to give respect. Your team must be able to see respectable person that they trust in, and that because they trust you and you demonstrate respect, you will also get respect. So people don't follow others by accident. They follow individual whose leadership they respect. So are you a respectable leader that your team respects you? Or are you a leader that is being trumped upon, or a leader that speak to people the way or however you feel like speaking? Do you motivate them or do you pull them down? I do believe your words are either lifting people or you are tearing them down. So are you a builder or are you someone who demolishes? So your words can do that. How do you show and demonstrate respect? Through your behavior and your actions. The law of intuition. Can you tell what others are feeling? When you're interacting with someone, can you feel what they're feeling? Can you tell when they're upset, when they're happy, when they're confused, when they're angry? What are those feelings? Can you actually feel it when you're interacting with someone else? Who are you dictates what you see. And if you want to see more, you have to be more. Dwayne Dyer said a leader has to read the situation and know instinctively what play to call. If prayer is us talking to God, is us talking to God, intuition then is when God talks to us. So I'll repeat that. If prayer is us talking to God, intuition is when God talks to us. So are you somebody with intuition? Okay, leaders evaluate everything with a leadership bias. Ensure that you can demonstrate what it means to be empathetic. Can you see beyond and see before your team? The law of magnetism. Are you trying to attract positive people in your inner circle? Are you a negative person? People generally attract others with similar attitude. So the leaders who will attract, whoever it is that you will attract, will be similar in style and ability to you. It is good to have a diverse team, but look also who are you attracting. Because if you are a negative person, likely you will be attracting a bunch of negative people around you. If you want to attract better people, become the kind of person you desire to attract. It's really quite simple. So who do you want to attract? Therefore, look at yourself and who do you need to become so that you attract those people. The law of connection, remember, they can't go along with you until they get along with you. Think of the leaders. It says the leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. Are you able to touch the hearts of the people around you? Do you ask questions? How can I help you? Are you connected with yourself? Before you connect with others, you must connect with yourself. Reflect on your connection with yourself. Ask yourself, what is my greatest asset? And then ask yourself, am I applying my strengths? How well do I relate and communicate with others? Do I like me? Am I likable? How do you speak to their heart? How do they know? How do they feel? Are you adding value to others? Okay, so the law of connection, are you living where you're actually touching the heart? Or are you demanding things from people where you have not even give? And you learn you need to give before you can receive. Law number 11 talks about the inner circle. Who lifts you up? Who takes you down? Are you able to identify those people? Who is your inner circle? So leaders have to deliver. There is no substitute for performance, but without a good team, they don't often get the opportunity. And that's what the inner circle is about. Are you intentional in your relationship building? When I say intentional, is that do you actually set aside time for people? Are you a lone ranger leader? Do the people in your inner circle possess the strengths in your areas of weakness? So look at your team right now and where are your weak areas? Everyone has something that they're weak at. Does your team actually fill those gaps? So you can do what I cannot do, and I can do what you cannot do. Together, we can do great things. And that was from Mother Teresa. Success comes not from what you know, but from who you know and how you present yourself to each of those people. And those Lee Iacocca said that. So think about those quotes. Think about how do you demonstrate with your team and how do you get success by living those values. So who are the people in your inner circles that you can depend on, people who compliment you, and keep building your relationship with them. What does the law of empowerment states? Are you willing to take risks? Are you the leader who ensure everybody comes to you always? Are you the leader who nobody can actually do anything better, only you? Do you believe in people? Who are the people that actually believes in you? So insecure leaders gather power. They power up on other people. Okay, so the best executive is one who has a sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done, and restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it. So Theodore Roosevelt said that as you examine yourself, do you trust your team? Do you actually invested in them and train them so that you can empower them to do things? How often do you actually go and take it back from them? Or how do you help them actually to learn the things so that you keep building on them? How many of you have worked under the leadership of someone that undermines you? How was your performance then and your morale? Did you find yourself tired, annoyed, and failing? So even though he or she may have been an outstanding entrepreneur, manager, director, his leadership did not promote your growth. How many of you actually have worked with a leader who empowered you? On the flip side, how is that? How did it make you feel? Okay, if you are to given the right resources, responsibilities, and let go of the leash and let you achieve your potential, what would that feel like? That is the law of empowerment. Are you able to let go and allow someone else to take up leadership? Maybe in your team that you look at, what is something that this person can lead on? Then you always upfront. So 3 barriers to empowerment could be things like job security. Why you're not empowering is that you don't want to give away any of your power to another you are leading. So you possess a fear that they will maybe take your job. So if you feel that way, then you will not invest in your team to empower them to do things. The next barrier could be is that resistance to change. You fear unknown. The unknown holds back your potential. So no one really likes change, even though most can see the advantages. Empowerment, remember, brings constant change because it encourages people to grow and innovate. And thirdly, a barrier could be the lack of self-worth. Far too many people are afraid to venture out because they feel they are not good enough, not smart enough, not attractive enough. And the list goes on and on. Look in the mirror right now. What do you see? Self-conscious people are rarely good leaders. They focus on themselves and want others and what others think. Are you bothered so much about what others think of you? Remember, what other people think of you is none of your business. So these people, they can't give power to others because they feel they have no power themselves. Do you fall into these traps, and are these barriers that holding you back from empowering your team? If they are, Let's meet and get over these barriers. The law of the picture: people do what people see. What does your family see when they observe you? What your colleagues see? What do your friends see? Are they following the leader? See, the greatest gift a leader can give is being a good example. You cannot tell people to do things and you are refusing to do them yourself. 89% of what we know, we learn visually. Who are you learning from right now? Who is learning from you? You are responsible to teach, lead, and create the picture. Not only are you creating a visual picture, your team wants leaders whose beliefs and action line up. So, in essence, practice what you preach. If you are not doing that, maybe that's an area you need to start. The first person you need to lead is yourself. Give yourself a character audit today. List your core values. What incident stands out as inconsistent with those values? Based on your values, that's how your decisions will be made on a daily basis. If your value is that you don't have a value of respect for others, then you might be tramping on other people all day. Where do you need to work on yourself? So as you list those values, look at which one maybe you rate yourself on the least. So if you're to take on a scale of 1 to 5 and all your core values, which one did you rate the least? Maybe it's an exercise you can do with your team too. Please rate me. How do I show up in these different areas? And let them help you to identify. And then maybe you can ask them, how do you think that I can improve in this area? And they will give you examples. The law of buy-in. People buy into the leader, then the vision. People have to know you, trust you, like you, all of that. So people need to buy into you as a leader before they can follow you. So many leaders ask this: do you think my people will buy into my vision? So the first thing is to answer is that the first question is to ask yourself, do your people buy into you? You might have a vision so grand and big, and yes, it's exciting, but nobody coming along to help you realize that vision because the people have not bought into you as yet. So are you an authentic person? Or do you show up one place one way and next place somewhere else, something else? So I call it being a hypocrite. So you pretend that you're this and then you live a different life among other people. At work, you might be one thing, at home, you're next thing, or vice versa. So have you found your dream? The leaders finds the dream and then the people. The people find the leader and then the dream. As a leader, you don't get credit for being right as you bring the organization to a halt. So understand that your success is measured by your ability to actually take the people where they need to go. That's the reality of the law of buy-in. So your success and it's about your ability to get people on board with you and realize that vision. If no one is following you, remember, you are only having a walk. What does the law of victory states? The leader finds a way for the team to win. So do you currently demonstrate a commitment to the team, department, or organization you lead? How committed are you to that company? How committed are you to your goals and dreams? So if you do not have that commitment, Ask yourself, what is holding me back? Do you have the right people on your team to make this happen? So when the pressure is on, great leaders are at their best. Whenever whatever sorry is inside of them comes to the surface. You want to know someone, put them under pressure, and you will see their true colors coming out. So think about yourself here, and how are you demonstrating you're a great leader? When you're under pressure, what do people see? Now examine if you hold these following truths. Leadership is responsible. Losing is unacceptable. Passion is unquenchable. Creativity is essential. Quitting is unthinkable. Commitment is unquestionable. Victory is inevitable. Do you hold these truths in your life? This is a mindset that says losing is not an option. Winning is mandatory. How motivated, how inspired are you so that you bring that inspiration to your team? You've got to have great athletes to win. I don't care who the coach could be. You can't win without good athletes, but you can lose with them. So this is where, coaching makes a difference. Do you have a coach working along with you in your development so that you also learn how to coach your team to grow and, add value to them? All great leaders have a coach working alongside them. So leader makes things better for the team. What they do, the leaders do everything possible to achieve victory. Leaders are visual figures of inspiration. Leaders offers hope, sense of direction, and confidence. Leaders are dealers in hope. So, are you providing hope to your team? What are you doing to help them to be inspired? Are you actually, when the team wins, do you give reward and recognition to where it's due? I know some leaders actually take all the praises for themselves. So are you one of that? If you are like that, people will not want to follow you neither. You need to learn how to let go. The law of the big move. Have you ever participated on a team project where all were focused on the same goal? How powerful was the leader? How was this momentum created? As you reflect on that, right, issues need to be worked through quickly with ease. When you have issues and you do not deal with it right away, it threatens the momentum that you will develop. Okay, so when the team gets going, you have to be able to keep that momentum and that things doesn't fall away or go back to where it was. You cannot kindle a fire in any other heart unless it is burning within your heart. Eleanor Dawn said that. Remember, for you to bring that momentum and keep it going, it takes a great leader for that to happen. So that not when you're gone or maybe you're not there anymore, what happened is that the momentum gone down. How do you keep the momentum and have the team keep striving? So the law of priorities. Are you ready to shake up your life and move forward out of your comfort zone in order to live and work according to your priorities? Think about, what do you prioritize right now? What's not working in your life? Are you able to actually identify those things? How willing are you to push yourself out your comfort zone and go do something that will actually take you closer to your goal, but it's something that you really don't like doing. So leaders never advance to a point where they no longer need to prioritize. Everything in your life should be prioritized. Sadly, many of us waste a bunch of time by putting certain things before the others. And then what happened is that our time ran out, and then we didn't get to realize the goal that we want to achieve and within which time frame. So being able to prioritize is a skill that you must develop as a leader. So leaders never actually advance to a point where they no longer need to prioritize. So being busy does not mean you are achieving. Ask yourself, what are you accomplishing? Not what you're doing. We can have a long to-do list, and what happened is that it's like a checklist, right? So I've done this check, I've done this check, I've done this check, and then what did I achieve out of it? Ask yourself, what was the results of doing this here? Is it just a checklist? So prioritizing requires leaders to continue think ahead and see how everything relates to the overall vision. So great leaders hold their goals to make each player succeed in unity with the other team members to win. So that's what the law of priority is about. So what are you prioritizing? What are the things that you're actually getting done and in the time frame too? The law of sacrifice talks about the leader must give up to go up. So are you willing to give up your rights for the sake of the people you lead? Do you have what we call the destination disease? This is where you feel you have arrived. There's nothing more to be done. You have reached. So do you suffer from this ailment? This is the idea that you have arrived and no longer need to sacrifice. Leaders who think this way stop sacrificing and stop gaining higher ground in leadership. Ask yourself, do you think you have actually arrived at your learning? Have you reached the capacity that you don't need to learn anything more? What are you giving up so that you can go up more? Is it also your title that you have that you do not want to give up? That if I need to serve someone, it means that I will be looked as a weak. What are the things that you might need to give up? Maybe you need to give up some of your television time too, so that you could put in the effort to build a relationship with someone else. What are the things are you willing to give up? So what sacrifice have you made to get where you are today? Cost of education. What are that you have sacrificed? Dedication of hours spent studying, learning, practicing. What are these numbers? What else have you sacrificed? So, Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said that for everything you have missed, you have gained something else. And for everything you gain, you lose something. Life is a series of trades, one for another. What are you trading today to get to where you want to go? Or, we think that you try to suck from both sides of the cane? It's not possible, right? So what do you need to give up so that you can actually get what you want in life? Think about the 19th law, talk about the law of timing. Timing is often the difference between success and failure in any endeavors. So good leadership requires what? Understanding of the situation. Do you have the knowledge of what's happening? Do you have the maturity? Leaders' motives must be right, not selfish. Are you a selfish leader? Okay, confidence. The leader must know what has to be done. Okay, which stems from your understanding and maturity. How confident are you? Your decisiveness. Strong leaders make strong decisions and gain trust. What good leadership requires too is experience, your intuition, right? Your preparation. If conditions are not right, leaders must create those conditions. Set your team for success. So create what is needed so that your team can be actually improving and growing. The law of explosive growth talks about how do you add growth and lead your followers? How do you keep multiplying to lead others? So, where are you in the process of leadership development right now? Are you developing yourself? Are you developing your team? Are you developing leaders? What actions are you taking today? So becoming a leader who develops leaders requires an entire different focus and attitude from simply attracting and leading followers. It takes a mindset that you want to find people and actually invest in them. But it's time you're investing to help them to grow. So when you think of leaders who attract followers and leaders who develop leaders, think along this line of the leaders who attract followers, what they love to feel needed. They love having followers, make them feel needed and important. They develop usually the bottom 20%, the weakest in the group. They focus on weaknesses. They treat everyone the same. They spend time with others. They grow by addition. They impact only people they touch, not beyond their reach. And the leaders who develop leaders, what do? They want to be succeeded. They want to develop the top 20%. They focus on strengths and they treat individuals differently. They invest time in others. They grow by multiplying and they impact beyond their reach. They impact people who are beyond their reach. So, are you developing leaders or are you developing followers? Our goal should be that we want to see when we are gone, whatever you would have done. And I've read of so many companies that really great leaders came and took over, build the company up, lots of revenue increases, and the company, its culture, everything really great. And then they died, or either they retired, and the person that actually took over the company doesn't know anything how to run it and took it down back. And so, are you actually building people that can go beyond you or when you're gone? And the last law talk about the law of legacy. Okay? And so when you think of your legacy, I started off telling you about my why. What is your why? So when you think of your value, would it be measured based on your succession? What would people say when you are no longer here? What do you want them to say? So know the legacy you want to leave. Most people simply accept their lives. They don't lead their lives. Okay? They just accept things as it is. Okay? That's all there is. And maybe that's how I will die. Your life is your book. You are writing it. One day the final chapter will be written, and what will it say? What does today's story prepare you? Or if you to think, how does what's happening right now, how does it prepare you for the last chapter? What is one sentence people will say to describe your life? Would you like to change that sentence? So which sentence can you pick today? So too often leaders put their energy into organization, buildings, systems, or other lifeless objects. But only people live on after we are gone. So everything else is temporary. So what are you leaving behind? Some people, I ask them to write what would be their legacy goal. And or I ask them sometimes also to write their eulogy, and they would laugh. And they've never thought about that. So if any home fun today, just sit down and write, what would people say at your funeral? What would people say? And if you're not that person as yet, okay, what do you need to start doing today so that on that day, this is what will be said about you? So what changes must you make in your conduct and thinking to change that legacy to the legacy you want to leave? So it's only by changing the way you live today can you change the legacy you leave. And what it says is that as leaders, what do? We challenge the processes. We inspire the shared vision. We enable others to act. And we model the way. We encourage the heart. Are you being a leader that follow these processes? Are you doing these things? So as you learn these laws, as John Maxwell says, to live them. Let them be part of your everyday life. So a little home fun for you is that choose one of these laws that you can strengthen. Do not set yourself up by thinking, okay, about all 21 and work on them one time, but think of maybe one of it that you could start with and identify 3 actions that you will take today to start strengthening your leadership skill in that one law. And then continue to build your leadership. What is the next one? Get a 360 feedback. Get a coach to work with you so that you are definitely will be growing. Your leadership skills will definitely be improving. And what Jim Rohn said is that never wish your life was easier, wish that you were better. Okay? And then he says, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Because if you work harder on yourself, I believe that your job will become easier. Okay, so if you really actually think that, if you really want to do something, you will find a way. If you don't, you'll just find an excuse. Be vigilant to listen to yourself when you speak. Are you making an excuse? Are you living below that point of power? Or are you actually taking the oar and paddling the direction that you want to go? If you want to do something, remember, you will find a way. If anything you want in your life, what do you usually do? You will make it happen for yourself. So stop making excuses and today get a coach. You can actually book a session with myself and let us demonstrate to you how we can actually work with you to build your leadership skills, how to help you grow, how to help you actually achieve all those goals that you want to achieve, that you might be shelving because you don't know how to go about doing it. Having a coach helps you to have clarity and then strategies of how to make it happen. And that is where the power lies. Even the CEO of Google and all the billion-dollar companies around the world have a coach working with them. Why not you? So thank you guys, and look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Any questions from the guys them in the group right now? Anything that you would like to ask or even share or comment? You can unmute your mic and please do so. Nurse, Jimmy, Riyadh, Lisa, any questions? I'm not sure who's on the training room there, training unit. No questions? So thank you guys and enjoy your day. Look forward to actually speaking to some of you, and how do we get you to build your leadership skills and keep growing so you can achieve maximum result. And like I said in the beginning, is that I want to help people live a life of significance so that you don't end up at the end of your life and say that I wished I had done something, or I wished, I didn't wasted so much time. There's no regrets because there's no turning back when you reach to the end. What can you do today? So, Stacy, welcome, Stacy. And thank you guys. If you have any question, you can't unmute, or so you can type in the chat group there too, and I can answer that question for you. Great. Thank you and enjoy your day. I will end the call now.